It's the Morning Brew with Elle Dawson and Gillian Robertson. Brought to you by Fight Bananas.
Good morning, guys. Sorry, my button pushing is not on point today at all. But we're here. We made it. It's been a minute, I think, since we did a morning brew, but we're back. Yours truly and the savage Gillian Robertson. Are you remotely awake today, G?
I'm going to say it's lucky that I'm even here. It was a rough, any pay-per-view night is a rough night, man. Anytime I got to stay up late, hoofed. I'm like, I will say that last night was worth it.
No, 100%. I messaged G last night. I sent her something fun I thought we could talk about on the show, and she responded. It was like 1:30. I was like, whoa, you're awake? You're awake right now? Made it through all the fights. And I agree with you. It was totally worth it. And I think it's kind of nuts too. I was not hating, but I kind of felt like the prelims here were going to be like, okay. And then the main card was going to be absolutely killer. But two of the fights that I was the most excited for on the main card left me a little disappointed, while the prelims just absolutely delivered. Absolutely delivered.
Okay, top to bottom, the card was pretty solid. Like, even the fights that I understand what you mean on the main card where maybe didn't live up to your expectation, but they were still good fights. Nonetheless, it's just, I guess, like, say, like, bring up the Patchy Mix fight. He didn't look like he was there. So I'm like, my expectations weren't, and were very, I was very let down on him. But that being said, Mario Batista had a beautiful performance.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And it's like the card really did deliver, like you said. And I feel like this was a card where I enjoyed every single female fight. I enjoyed every single heavyweight fight. Like, they were just good all around fights. And I feel like the prelims, there was so much impressive young talent there. Quillen Selkill looked phenomenal. But Yuju Sang, like, absolutely stole the show. Like, that was a very Conor-esque moment. And I cannot wait to see who they give that kid next. Because the guy he fought is like, you can see that the Thai style, the strong forward pressure. The guy he fought is a great striker. And yeah, I'm just so impressed with him.
Oh, yeah, he just lunged a little bit too far forward with that, too. And you just got out of that way clean with that little short hook. It was so nice. And then the absolute, like, face plant knockout was just nasty.
It was kind of scary. Like, he was stiff before he even hit the ground. And watching the replay, too, like, his arm was already extended. It literally looked like he just touched him. Like,
oh, yeah.
Barely touched him. But the timing and the power and the explosiveness and athleticness of that kid, like, I'm really excited to see this young generation come up through the sport.
It only takes a very little amount of pressure to really put somebody down when they're out of position so much. It's like, when you're in position, you're here, it's going to be very hard to drop somebody. You got your chin tucked, you're ready to take those shots. He was so far out of position throwing that right, like, lunging forward with that right hand. It just took a little short. Like you said, it hardly looked like he touched him, and absolutely devastating knockout.
No, absolutely impressive. Honestly, I was like, they didn't do a fight of the night. I'm not mad about it. I think that all four fighters that got bonuses deserved bonuses. Like, just beautiful performances from all four of the fighters. However, like, I would have not have been even a little bit upset if Bruno Silva and Joshua Van got a fight of the night bonus. Like, that fight was amazing.
No, I was going to say, I was going to bring that up. I wasn't even thinking of fight of the night. I was like, if they did a fifth performance bonus, Joshua Van, I'm like, he was just on point. No doubt Silva's a dog. He was in there. I don't know how many times he got dropped, but he just kept on coming back, walking forward. Van's boxing looking clean the whole time. And then obviously he was able to put a finishing touch on it in the third round. Just absolutely beautiful performance. And especially, like, he's 23 years old. Absolutely mind-blowing.
No, I 100% agree. I can't imagine what he's going to look like. I don't even know if he's going to be a flyweight anymore. First of all, the guy looks huge, and I do think Silva's a little undersized for the division. He trained at ATT for like a year or so ago, and I did get to train with him. And he is a small guy, but Joshua Van looks huge. He is a huge flyweight. He's long, but he's also like a thick guy. He's got big legs and big arms. He's 23 years old. I wonder how long he's going to be at flyweight before he has to make that jump to 135. But I think whatever division he ends up in, like the boxing, the counter wrestling, just he reminds me of a younger, smaller Max Holloway.
No, I can definitely see that kind of like pepper in all the punches style, like mainly boxing, but just absolutely clean. Just everything he's doing, just nice technique, snapping Bruno's head back over and over and over again. It was just a beautiful performance by Van.
No, 100%. The timing on the knees. And Bruno even got his hands locked on a couple really good shots. Got him down one time, just timed it really well. And Van's get up, just immediate counter wrestling. Like, it's just so good. Like, I can't find fault with Joshua Van at this point, and he's so young. Like, I'm really, really excited to see what we see from him. You know,
no, I feel like he's really one of the first to show like where the sport's headed. You know, where it's like he's super young. Imagine him once he's 30. He's in his prime. I'm like, he's going to be an absolute killer everywhere, and it's going to be really awesome to see like in the next couple of years just how it's evolving like that.
No, I agree, especially at flyweight, which it's a great division, but it's been a little bit stale just because the champ has beat everybody already. It's always nice to just see some of this young talent come up. And it's not just him. You have Andre Lima, you have Tamirov. Like, there's some really good young guys in that division coming up. We got to touch on this because this was not the girl that everybody thought was going to miss weight on the card. But Ariane De Silva, sorry, is her last name now, missing weight by 7 pounds. Wang Kong still taking the fight, looking great, almost finishing her. Dropped her a couple times. So Wang Kong's a stud, absolutely tough girl, class act. But like this was a huge weight miss. I know Ariane, like, she's bigger for 125. Have you seen anything? Do we know what went wrong? Was there a health issue? Was there like, what happened here? This was a massive miss.
I guess I didn't get into it. I know I did see it was in Portuguese, the original article I saw, so that's why I never got into it. But it was something about there was a health issue during camp for like that she had a reasoning for, I guess, why she missed it specifically. On the post weigh-in or like the weigh-in show, whenever they have like Laura Sanko, Daniel Cormier, they had Frankie Edgar on it. And whenever she weighed in, Frankie looked at Daniel and he's like, "Man, can you imagine holding up 6 pounds on a towel?"
I saw that. That was so funny. You're right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm like torn on that. I'm like, if you are having such a major health issue during camp, like maybe don't take the fight if you know that you can't make weight, because that is part of your job as well. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't think there's ever an excuse for missing weight. You know the weight you have to make a long time before you actually take the fight. So I'm like, there's never a valid excuse for missing.
I 100% agree. I don't know if this is true or not, Jake. I hadn't heard about this, but we'll definitely look into it. She had a cancer scare. I mean, but yeah, going back to last week too, like huge health problems popping up during Macy Barber's camp. I think we can all agree she should have pulled from the fight weeks prior, and maybe it's the same thing. Allegedly weight miss was from a pituitary tumor treatment. Yeah, that sounds like a serious enough issue that she probably should not have gone through with this fight. I hope that it wasn't an issue of like, well, I have to fight, I don't have the money. That's always terrible to see, but like, man, your health is always priority number one. You know, like I think this is 2 weeks in a row that we've had 2 fighters with serious health issues deciding to fight. I think that's concerning to me. But I like to what you're saying. There's never an excuse for missing weight, but the amount she missed by, like, I have a little bit of grace, a little bit more grace for somebody where it's like, hey, you've never missed before. I really, really tried. I got within a pound and it just like stopped coming off. We made a mistake in the cut, whatever. I have a little bit more grace for that than a miss this big. Like you would have had to know ahead of time that you were going to miss by this much, you know?
And that being said, I have trained with Ariane Lipsky a couple years ago, maybe. And like, she is a massive flyweight. That being said, I'm like, she is a very large girl. So if there was something of a health scare coming up in camp, I'm like, her weight cut, I'm assuming isn't easy in the first place. And that being said, Wang Kong looks like a similar size, maybe even bigger, which I was very surprised by when they were in the cage.
You thought so? I thought she looked a little more slender, maybe lankier.
Yeah, maybe. I just felt like Ariane didn't outsize her much, you know? Right. Where I'm like, for missing weight by 6 pounds, they look very similar sizes.
Oh no, that's fair. And maybe her move is to go up to 135, but we'll see. And she's pretty, I know she's kind of up and down, but she's like she's what, 17-10, I think, overall. Like it's a pretty solid record, a lot of wins, especially in these female divisions. But yeah, maybe that's the move. Maybe 135 could use some more meat for sure. There's definitely a lot more women at 125 right now. So maybe that's the change we see. But like, let's keep rolling through these prelims. Andreas Gustafsson versus Kalen Williams, total bar fight. Awesome to watch. I don't know why people were booing. I thought that fight was really fun, personally. But your thoughts?
It was just absolutely like such a gritty fight. And just like, I don't, like you said, a total bar fight, like just in the pocket, in the clench, just like grinding each other out, like landing it. I don't, it was, yeah, I guess I can see both sides of it, but I enjoyed it.
I did too. And I got to give Williams credit where credit is due. Like the dude didn't quit. There are a lot of different forms of quitting. And at no point did Cass Williams stop trying to get to his feet, stop trying to win this fight. He just got out. He just got smothered. I don't agree that this was 15 minutes of tie clenching. Like we see heavyweight fights that are 15 minutes of tie clenching almost every single card that there's a heavyweight fight on, and they aren't fun. And there isn't this much blood and this much up, down. Like the dude would get taken down, build up, get taken down, build up, there's blood pouring out of 4 different orifices on Williams' face. Like, I don't know. I must be crazy, but I love this sport.
No, it's just an absolutely gritty, grinding fight, 100%. Like you said, it was just kind of taken everywhere. Williams did not have the quit in him, and Gustafsson, I'm just completely spaced there for a second. Sorry, late night. But Gustafsson just completely just was relentless with his game plan. He did what he needed to do to get the win, and you could just see that he wanted it. Like he was in there just grinding for that full 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like to keep the pace that he, like with the output he was putting out, like he was exerting a lot of energy and just stayed like very Marab-esque guy, especially at that size. Like you don't see guys fight like that over 15 minutes very often. So I liked it. I was impressed. I also liked this fight. Especially for heavyweights. Heavyweights usually have the most boring fights. I do not get excited for heavyweight matchups. And I, to be honest, wasn't super excited for this one either. I thought Spivak was going to take down Acosta, do what he does. I thought it was going to be a lot more boring, but I thought it was pretty fun. It wasn't the best fight on the card, but it was probably better than most of the heavyweight matchups we end up seeing these days.
I think that's setting the bar a little bit low there, though. Like most of the heavyweight matchups aren't great we're seeing these days.
Most heavyweight matchups are this 15 minutes of tie clenching.
I do think it wasn't the best fight. I also didn't score it the way the judges scored it.
Me neither. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, I had 1 and 3 for Spivak and 2 for Acosta. I felt like in the third, Acosta was kind of like trying to coast, like avoiding the fight, almost just like jabbing from the outside, trying to like not get hit, but also not engage in the fight. And it seemed like Spivak was pushing the pace a little bit more. So I don't know. I had 1 and 3 for him. yeah, I was a little bit shocked with the refs, with the judge's decision.
I'm not so upset that I don't know. Is this what you're talking about? SG's upset with us today. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. Not trying to put you on blast. No, I definitely, I thought the third round was close. I had it 1-1 going into the third. And I'm not upset Acosta even won the fight because it was a close-ish fight. I don't know how a judge gave him 30-27. That was, and then we'll get to the scoring on a fight on the main card later too. But I'm quite surprised by that. Like I need to go back and rewatch the fight, which I haven't done because we got to bed at 2 a.m. guys. So cut us some slack. But as she said, he is upset with us today. Sorry, man. How'd you score it? Tell us how you scored it. Seriously, guys, let us know in the comments if we're totally off base. I was really shocked to see that go 30-27 Acosta.
No, like you said, if anything, I definitely had it 1-1 going into the third, and the third was closer. I still sided with Spivak in it.
Okay, yeah, and I honestly did too, but I wasn't upset about the decision. I was more just like, how did we get to 30-27? Which, not to jump over. No, we're not going to jump over them. We can't jump over Azamat Murzakanov. 15-0, finished Brenson Ribeiro, who I know has been a little up and down in the UFC, but okay. So you agree. Why are you upset with us? He said he agrees with you. He thought Spivak won 1 and 3. I don't know. But anywho, Ribeiro's a dangerous guy. Like, he's a dangerous guy. He's a long, lanky striker. I want to see Murzakanov. I think Murzakanov is the guy that nobody knows about because nobody wants to fight him. Like, I wouldn't want to fight that guy. Like, I want to see him fight the top of the light heavyweight division now after that performance.
Oh yeah, it was just such a, even like the way the knockout went, it was like Ribeiro was able to initially, like, he was kind of creating frames with his hand, keeping the distance, like you said, very long and lanky. Then Azamat jumped with a little hook to close the distance, then switched stances, and then threw that same hand for a southpaw backhand or cross. And it was just such a beautiful sequence in general, the way he closed the distance and then landed both of those strikes. So beautiful performance and beautiful knockout.
No, I have no notes, but I'm pulling up the rankings here because I'm trying to think who they should give him next. He's 12. And I just looking at the 4 guys on top of him, you've got Johnny Walker, Nikita Krylov, Volkan Ozdemir, and then Dominic Reyes. Like, I know Khalil Roundtree is matched up. Is he matched up with Jamal Hill?
Yeah, that's, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now.
Yeah. So I like, maybe is Reyes matched up? Maybe you do him and Reyes.
That's the name that like stuck out to me whenever you read that list. That's the one that I'd want to see.
You know, I actually would really like to see him fight Rakic. I know that's a pretty big jump up the rankings, but I think him and Rakic would be a fun fight.
Yeah, that would just be like a firefight, an exciting fight. That'd be where the fans win.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would love to see that. No one talks. Yeah, I feel like this guy's not on anybody's radar, and he absolutely should be. And I know he's not like super, super active necessarily, but I think like it seems to me that that's probably because nobody wants to fight this guy. Like, I wouldn't want to. He's very well rounded too. Like, he's just good everywhere.
Okay, even after he got like dropped to him, his transitions on the ground to like get that TKO were super nice. Just like the punches that he threw, and then like when he realized, okay, I'm losing position, transition to the other side, start throwing punches again. Just all of his groundwork was super slick as well.
No, I agree. He's a very scary dude. I'm trying to think who else. I know he was supposed to fight Krylov last year, and that got canceled. Beat Alonzo Menafield by knockout. Was supposed to fight Volkan. Was supposed to fight Khalil Roundtree. Dustin Jacoby. These are all the fights I want to see. Beat Dustin Jacoby, which we know no matter how old Dustin Jacoby gets, he's still going to be a force. Like, he always looks good. Always. But yeah, these are all the fights I wanted to see got matched up and then just like never happened. I wonder who, if I'm not going to dig into it right now and see who pulled out, but my guess is it's probably not this guy. He's a scary dude. But yeah, let's roll. We talked a little bit about, we already kind of talked about Joshua Van. We were talking about the scoring in the Spivak Acosta fight. I want to know if you thought there was any grounds for a judge to give Patchy Mix a round.
Now you're making me really think on this now. I'm like, is there anything that I could? But like, maybe there's an argument somewhere in the third.
That's kind of like, that's the only one I can think of, maybe, but I feel like I have to stretch to get there.
No, I 100% agree. I was 30-27 for Bautista, but I'm like, Patchy definitely like woke up a little bit more in the third. I think was trying to push the pace a little bit more, and especially like near the end of the fight, like the last couple minutes, which I feel like sticks very heavily in the judge's mind. Yeah.
I guess I could see that.
A lot of times it's like the last minute or two is what the judges really remember, you know,
Right.
and when watching a fight live. So I'm like, the last minute or two of the third, Patchy was picking up the pace a little bit more and had a couple moments. So I'm like, that's the only argument I can make, but I still had all three for Bautista.
The way it feels in my mind is he looked, how do I say this without sounding like a butthead? He looked better in the third, and then comparing how not good he looked earlier in the fight, I could see, but I just like Batista never really slowed down, and the dude is good. And I didn't count Batista out because I thought Batista wasn't a great fighter. I just thought Patchy Mix was going to fit into the mix in the UFC so much better. And I honestly, I guess I'm looking, I know, and I agree. Patchy usually does fight kind of flat-footed. I guess I'm kind of like looking back, the guys that he usually shoots first on and gets down historically have been flyweights. And I think something we forget is no matter how good these guys are in Bellator, there were a lot of flyweights fighting at bantamweight in Bellator. Really good flyweights like Kyoji Horiguchi, who Patchy beat using his wrestling. But I don't know if you've seen that fight. Patchy Mix literally looked like he was 4 weight classes above Kyoji. Like, he looked massive next to him. And like, Magomedov shot on him, got guillotined. Like, he's not usually the offensive shooter. The more I like think about it, and I think I gave him a lot, maybe too much credit for some of these wins outside the UFC for guys that I rank really high, like Rafion Stotts and Magomedov and
Sergio Pettis too.
I know Sergio did okay in the UFC. He didn't do terrible. He didn't do amazing. What does this say about Bellator? Honestly, the UFC's got to be thrilled right now. This fight was a win-win for them, but this, like, they're like, see, we told you guys, like, they have to be so thrilled about this at this point.
As Dana said in the post-fight press conference, he was like, a lot of times you see guys freeze when they come up from smaller promotions.
Ooh, yeah. No, like, he's got to be. Well, my one caveat is they've got to be paying him decent, right?
No, they have to be. He was in potential talks of skipping Corey Sandhagen for the title shot. He had to be getting paid decent.
Let's look at the rankings. Like, I want you to pick out, and I want to give him a little bit of grace too, because maybe the moment was just too big, and he just didn't have a good night. Because everybody's allowed to have a bad night. You've had a bad night. I've had a bad night. It happens. But I'm just looking at these rankings right now, and after what we saw, I don't know. I don't even know who you'd match him up with next. I don't think you give him somebody in the rankings again, because that's a mistake.
I think that it's like there's so many things that went into this fight for him of it being a UFC debut, him being in potential talks of like a title shot after this, everybody completely counting out Bautista. It's like there was so much pressure on his shoulders, and I think definitely there was probably some of that got into him as well. But like you said, like where does he go from here? They were talking potential title shot. Now he's lost this fight, so it's like, where do you put him?
He said he was going to sub Mario and his jiu-jitsu coach. Like, he's like, I'm looking through you. Like, I'm looking past you. Like, he talked this huge game, and you should absolutely be confident in yourself. I think you got to put yourself out there and see where the chips may fall. But so I'm not dogging on him for that, but I'm just looking at the 11 through 15. You have Amin Zahabi, I think is a tough fight for him. You have Kyler Phillips. You have Marcus McGee. You have Montel Jackson, an explosive, like fast, athletic guy. And then you have Vinicius Oliveira, who is a fantastic striker. Like, that's everybody ranked below Mario Bautista right now. I don't know. Like, honestly, I was kind of thinking about this last night. I was like, maybe you give him Pedro Munoz. Maybe you match him up, because I feel like Pedro's at least a big enough name, because I just don't think you can justify giving Patchy another matchup in the rankings unless they're like, hey, we just want to get rid of him. Like, let's give him two really tough fights and then cut him. Unless that's the UFC's plan. If they want to, like, they gotta have him fight outside the rankings, but he's such a big name and he's become he was such a highly touted prospect. I feel like they can't just give him a nobody, Like,
no, they definitely can't give him a nobody. And I feel like they also can't, like, it's not like they can do like what they did with Michael Chandler with him, because Chandler's going out there and putting on exciting fights and bangers, and they can keep on giving him these guys that are like up there, even though he doesn't exactly perform to that level always. But I'm like,
always.
He did against Tony Ferguson.
Once again, like you said earlier, that's a low benchmark.
That's all I got for him. But like every time he fights, like
it's fun.
He loses in an exciting manner. So I'm like, where it's like with Patchy, you can't really justify that of like, he didn't go out there and bang. He didn't go out there and put on a show. He kind of froze, if anything else. Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, it's like, I think you have to find somebody who is kind of a name, but an unranked name.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly, Pedro makes sense. And I think Pedro's a really tough matchup for him too. Like, tons of experience, super well-rounded. He's got quick in and out. Like, I don't think he's beating these bantamweights. I think maybe he was beating flyweights. Good morning, Terry. Happy you're here, man. But yeah, it's wild. It's why I am shocked. I did not expect this. I really thought Patchy was going to look really good. And I wasn't even counting Mario out entirely. I thought Mario was a tough fight. I just thought Patchy would rise to the occasion, So I hope he gets it together and he makes a massive comeback. I do, because I was really excited to see him in this division, and I'm just hoping it was a bad night and this isn't telling of where he sits in the rankings,
Yeah, like the last two Bellator signings haven't been great ones.
No, like, it's been rough. It's been rough. And I honestly, like, I blame the UFC for Patricio Pitbull. The dude's almost 40. You really thought he was going to come over and have a good one. Dude, this is another one where I'm like, what are they doing? Because I think Movsar is not the best benchmark to give a guy that is coming over to the UFC for the first time. Like, we thought it was a tough matchup. Like,
maybe that is part of the gameplay in a way too, of like I said, Dana can be like, now this is what happens when people come from these smaller promotions.
No, that's 100%. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for them, because they clearly don't like Movsar for whatever reason. I still don't understand why. I do not think he's as boring as other people do. I think he's fantastic to watch. He's an absolute technician. But they clearly don't like him. So it's like, okay, well, if Pico beats Movsar, we don't have to give Movsar a title shot. Pico is an absolute superstar. And it's a win. If Movistar smashes Pico, we're better. We're better than the PFL. You know, it's a win-win. I just hate it because Movistar should be fighting for the belt, and it's so weird that he's not.
We just need the Dakota Ditchva and Johnny Eblin now. Those releases to come.
Right. And I think they'll do really, really well. And so it's like the UFC is just waiting for them at this point. Because
those two I think they're people who would be in title contention in that top 5 rankings in their divisions. Where I'm like, literally, whenever the PFL posted on their Instagram, like, we're announcing Patchy Mix's release, almost all the comments on it were like, yes, finally, or now release Johnny and Dakota, because it's like everybody just wants to see them being able to compete at the highest level at this point.
100%. But that's bad. Is this bad for the sport? This is bad. We need more promotions, not less promotions. Like, I want to see both of them in the UFC, but I also want to see PFL get their shit together. Like, because it's not good for the sport that we lost Bellator, and it's not going to be good for the sport when PFL, I'll give them a little, like, if they go under and 150, 200 fighters now are without a job, and there's some of the best guys, some of them are some of the best guys in the world, the UFC is going to pick a bunch of those guys up, and guys that are on the regional scene are not going to get signed. Like, it's not good. This is not good for us, guys. Dana is the Kermit sipping tea meme. I mean, Dana loses nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's the fighters that lose in this. Like,
yeah, like I feel like we've always, I'm kind of on the edge of like where, I don't know. I think it is good to have one promotion. I think it is good to, like, one that is the best, I guess, one that is the elite, you know, where it's like, I feel like
they're the best.
PFL has been trying to compete though to be like the same level as the UFC, where I feel like we've talked about before, like maybe a year-long contender series where that's the feeder program to the UFC. But I think that it is better to have all the best talent in one place.
Yes, Jake. They should have ditched this stupid tournament years ago. Do you know what they did this year? They took all their best fighters and didn't put them in the tournament. They're like, no, we're going to have a championship series, but we're going to put the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th best fighter in the tournament. So now there's nobody for those champions to fight in the championship series. So they're fighting people we've never heard of. Yes, there should just be they should do a show every week. They actually could compete with the UFC to some extent. I still think the UFC has the best fighters in the world, with small exceptions like Dakota and Johnny. But like, and Usman Nurmagomedov would do well in the UFC. But I just feel like it doesn't make sense. Like, they could be putting on a show every weekend. All their fighters could stay active. They could have actual champions instead of, we did a championship series where there were 2 heavyweight belts. Don't know how that works. Don't understand. Yes, this is 100% what they should do, but it's not happening. It's not going to happen. But here, to play devil's advocate to your point, the NFL is the best, right? The NFL is the football organization that everybody cares about. That doesn't mean there aren't AFL leagues, Canadian leagues. It doesn't mean that there aren't other leagues. It just means the NFL is the best. And I know very little about football, and I even know about other leagues. So we still need that, because that's there for the people who are like, this is the UFC, and it's getting more and more competitive every single year. I think you'll agree. And it should be. The sport should be improving. What about for everybody that's like right here? You know, like, I think it's only good for the sport to have smaller leagues.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not saying take away regional MMA in general. I feel like there needs to be regional MMA, but they need to be like, essentially, like, feel like the UFC is the goal, the UFC is the priority, where it's like PFL is like dividing that, you know? So now some of the best, like the Dakotas, go to the PFL, or some of them go to the UFC, where I'm like, I think the end goal is the NFL, you know? So it's like there is all these other programs, but it's like, well, eventually though, like, that's where we want to be, because that's where all the best are. Where it's like the PFL, I feel like, I guess, is kind of like taking away from that, or like I said, like dividing the talent.
I understand what you're saying. It's just people can't make a living in regional MMA, you know, and there are people who make a living in smaller football leagues. It's a lot less of a living than the NFL, but they're still getting paid and being able to feed themselves, you know? And I think that's where it becomes an issue. Is we need regional MMA that can pay your bills. And I don't think that's a thing. I think you have to have a B league, a B and a C league. Like you have to have somebody like a PFL or a Bellator for fighters to be able to feed themselves outside the UFC, you know?
No, I can definitely see your point as well.
Which is why we need year-round Contender Series. That would solve all our problems. Year-round Contender Series and another show that's like, they just need like a shadow corporation where it's like the UFC really bankrolls this, but it's not owned by the UFC, because they were going to do, this is what I heard, is they were going to do their own league, but the monopoly lawsuit prevented them from doing that because they consider that too monopoly. It's like, we need that. Let the UFC be in monopoly. They are the only people that understand how to make this a financially profitable sport. Just let them be a monopoly.
No, exactly.
Right. But so I think they were trying to do something similar, but maybe they still can't. And now I takes me to my next point. Sorry to digress from the UFC 316 conversation. We'll definitely come back to that. But we have UFC Jiu-Jitsu now. I don't really want to watch it, but I'm glad that there is a place where more combat athletes can make some money to compete. That's pretty cool. It's like, it's essentially like the Ultimate Fighter for BJJ, right? Is what they're doing.
I didn't see all that. I saw that they were doing like, I don't know, I guess teams. I saw Mikey Musumeci was one of the coaches. But yeah, I didn't realize it was a Ultimate Fighter kind of thing. I definitely saw Dana posting. They have like the pit, like how like Craig Jones had it, Karate Combat has it. I actually think it is one of the better setups for jiu-jitsu. You know, you can't get pushed off the edge, but also it definitely, like, I've competed in the pit once before. It adds a different element that I feel like you have to be prepared for. Of if you get pushed up against the pit wall, like with your neck up off the mat like that, you don't have the same mobility in your hips. Like, so whenever you're getting your head pushed up against, like I was in bottom guard with my head kind of like up against the wall. I felt like I was stuck there 100% just because I completely lost my hip mobility because of my head position. So I'm like, or like even, I don't know, getting pushed up against it, it's a slanted wall. There's different elements that I feel like you really need to be prepared for. It's like when you're grappling in a cage versus grappling out of a cage. I'm like, it adds another element where it's just, it's something that, I don't know, it's tricky to prepare for.
No, that makes sense. And it's got to be somewhat similar to like getting your head pinned up, like when you're in bottom guard in the cage. And that's a really nasty place to be.
It's almost like it's like can opening you for it, you know, like it does it for itself. So now you can't move. You're just kind of stuck there.
This would honestly be kind of brutal because I like wrestling on the cage, like defensively, offensively. Like if somebody is trying to wrestle me, I'm trying to find the cage as my friend. I don't feel like the pit is going to be the same way. So it definitely would be a very different, it would change the sport a lot, to be honest. I think Karate Combat in the pit makes sense. I honestly don't know if a more grappling heavy approach makes as much sense in the pit. I think the bowl might be a better shape for the jiu-jitsu, like specifically, because you're not striking. Like with Karate Combat, somebody falls against the wall. There's this really exciting like clips of these like TKO finishes of people that are like, oh, I can't move, you know? I don't think we would see quite as much of that with the bowl, you know? But
you also saw things in Karate Combat too, though, like, because they have their pitch submission series as well. And I can't remember who it was. It was a couple months ago. One of their fighters ran up on the pit wall and jumped into a flying triangle.
Shut up. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm like, you can utilize the pit wall for offense as well.
They should spin a wheel of possible fighting rounds before the fight.
Get to choose where you fight.
Like it's like Mario Kart. Pick your arena. Yeah. Sorry, we got way off topic, but I'm glad to see the UFC dipping their fingers into more combat sports instead of more power slap. Because it is actually really fun to watch. I only watched an event because Paige was on it. And so like all the girls came over and we watched her match and stuff. And the event was actually kind of fun. I thought it would be really lame, to be honest. I thought it'd be like, oh, once I've seen one of these matches, I've seen them all. I actually really enjoyed watching power slap. So I do understand the spectacle. But from a technical aspect, I'm excited to see them delve into some other disciplines. And honestly, I think the next thing for the UFC should be Little Gloves Muay Thai, because that is the only thing that is keeping one championship alive at this point. Because that is so much brain damage, but gosh, it's fun to watch.
That was another question that Dana got asked in the post-fight, because he's co-promoting in boxing as well now too. Yeah. So they were asking him if he would ever consider kickboxing, and he said he had no interest. And he's like, if you're going to ask me about kickboxing, why don't you ask me Muay Thai? He's like, Muay Thai is more interesting, but still didn't seem very interested in either one.
And I get it, to be honest. Like, let's look at this logically. The number one complaint that we hear from MMA fans is during grappling exchanges, right? Oh, stand them up. Oh, you're hugging. Oh, you're crotch sniffing. That's like the number one complaint from MMA fans, right? Then how come kickboxing and Muay Thai viewership is so low? I get it. It's higher in Asia than it is in the US, but worldwide, MMA has significantly better viewership than any of the striking disciplines besides boxing. Like, why is that? It's the number one complaint. Number one complaint. Like, why is that? Why, if kickboxing is so much better to watch, why don't people watch it? And Dana White is a businessman, so I can imagine that he has looked into this and recognizes that, you know?
Yeah, no, that's all you can assume. I'm like, Dana's making this move for a reason. There's a reason he's choosing Nogi Jiu-Jitsu over Muay Thai.
Crazy. I don't really want to watch that either, but he has the right people in it. It's so crazy too. Mike Mizumichi was like Mr. One Championship for like years, and just like that, the UFC just like, we'll take you. But he's so funny. Like, he's just such a character. Like, jiu-jitsu guys are interesting.
He is the face of jiu-jitsu guys.
Oh, yes, 100%. Glasses, the touch of the tism, as you should say. Like, I love the guy. He's so cute. Like, he's just the most unassuming, nice guy. And yeah, he's a hoot. He's a hoot. But let's go back. We gotta go back. We only have like 15 minutes left. We haven't said a word about Kayla Harrison or Merab Dvalishvili. I do want to touch on this fight real quick, because this was the other fight that I was like super, super pumped for, that I do think let me down a little bit. Should I not say that on film? Sorry.
To be fair, I'm like, majority of my teammates are trying to convince me to go get tested at this point, because I may be on that same page, but they do say it's the best base for jiu-jitsu, so it makes sense.
I think it's the best base for a lot of combat sports, to be honest. I think there's definitely some fighters out there that are somewhere on the spectrum, but definitely. So we got to talk about Piper and Gastelum. I thought this was going to be way more of a banger than it was. And I don't know if Piper's gotten tired before, so I'm thinking maybe he was worried about getting tired. But I really expected him to do a lot more, to be honest. It was a lot of one shots. I think if he can put together some combos, Kevin Gastelum does not get dropped a whole lot. He gets dropped sometimes, but he usually, like, has he ever been finished? I don't think so.
He's never been knocked out. I don't know about finished, but I know
he's never been knocked out. Yeah. But like, I think Piper could have finished him. There just wasn't, like, there was I give him some credit, because have you ever been in a fight where it's like, I'm going to finish him? Oh, never mind. Oh, I'm going to finish him? Oh, never mind. Like that, like, jump and drop in your adrenaline, like, that can take it out of you. So I understand him not wanting to get tired, but I thought it was going to be like one of my favorite fights on the card. And it was okay. That's all right. It just after the prelims, and Kevin Holland, Luke, like Luque's got one of the best front headlock games in the sport, and Kevin Holland just when that dude takes this seriously, he's so freaking good. I used to not like him at all, but I'm such a Kevin Holland fan now.
Literally, that's all we were saying last night. We were like, if he shows up, then he is gonna put on a good fight. But it's like sometimes it's like he almost doesn't give a fuck. He just comes in and is just like there to have fun. But as we were talking, I'm like, he's been in the UFC for 7 years and has 25 fights at this point. I'm like, just an insane like he fought 5 times 1 year, fought 3 times this year already. Just insane activity from him, and like a little bit hit or miss sometimes, but always entertaining.
No, I agree. Like he's the only boring fights Kevin Holland has been in is when he's fighting a boring person. Like he's a really fun guy to watch. He's got a insanely diverse skill set, and he's super hard to fight. Like I think skill for skill, Gunnar Nelson is probably a better fighter than Kevin Holland. But he took away Gunnar Nelson's game with his awkwardness and his length and his athleticism. And like Gunnar got him down and couldn't do anything with it. And Gunner's a phenomenal wrestler. So it just I'm so impressed with him when he like puts his mind to it. And I like that he's like a cowboy. Like he has like cows and stuff. He's the most random dude ever. He's like asking Joe Rogan to teach him how to bow hunt. He does kung fu. Like he's like the kid that watched a ton of anime and then like grew up to actually like live out his dreams.
It's like a video game character.
He's a video game character, 100%. I just love the guy. Like, good for him. Like, what? And Luque looked good too, because like when Luque fought Buckley, he looked old. He looked old, and he looked like he didn't want to be there. And not taking anything away from Buckley, because Buckley's a freaking force. But Luque actually looked in shape. He looked like he wanted to fight, and he kind of looks like old Luque. So I think that win is even better than it would have been if Luque hadn't shown up, you know?
Okay, definitely deserving of the 50K performance bonus too. And the only thing, I'm like the jiu-jitsu nerd in me, everybody kept on calling it a Darce when it was an anaconda.
You remember what he called it? He called it what do you call it? Dang it. It was really funny. Dark, I can't remember. He like named it something else, and I was like, dude, this is just an anaconda. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was sitting there, it was like DC called it a Darce, Joe called it a Darce, then Kevin called it a Darce. I was like, when Kevin called it a Darce, I was like, am I tripping? Like, I'm like, no, that's an anaconda, right? Yes, it was an anaconda.
Dude, yeah, we're definitely gonna have to go over because we only have 10 minutes till 11, unless you have somewhere to be. But it's an anaconda. It was a normal anaconda. Speaking of not normal chokes, though, we still haven't figured out what is the difference between the Darce and the anaconda. Yes, it's whether the arm is on the lock side or the choking arm side. That's the difference between the anaconda.
Yeah, just the position of the grip. Sometimes the grip's on the inside of the neck, and sometimes the grip's underneath the armpit. And if it's underneath the armpit, it's an anaconda. If it's by the neck, then it's a Darce.
From your resident black belt right here. I was literally going through it in my mind. Which one? I was like, which one is a Darce? Like, I know it when I'm doing it, but like explaining it, I'm like, anyway. What on earth did Merab Dvalishvili sub Sean O'Malley with? Because if you weren't sitting on your couch with your friends, or in my case, your husband, trying to choke each other last night, you're not a real fan. Because we're trying to figure out how this happened. Like, Sean O'Malley did the right thing. Also, Sean O'Malley looked great. Like, he had a good game plan. He was moving his feet. He was fighting a wrestler how you should fight a wrestler. Merab just looked so much better. They both looked so elevated from their last performance. But anyway, Merab goes for the ninja choke. Doesn't quite like, and I was like, oh, he lost it because the lock slipped below the shoulder. For people who don't know, for the ninja choke, you need to be like over the top of the shoulder. The lock fell below as Sean O'Malley rolled, which is what he should have done. And Merab finished this choke like Ezekiel style. But I'm like, we've been trying to figure this out, guys. Like, how is this possible? Does Merab just have an insane squeeze? I don't think Sean O'Malley quit. I really don't, because he did look really good. I don't want to be like, oh, he wasn't a real choke, he just tapped. I think Merab just has something. He's got a special, like a secret skill that we all need to figure this out.
So when I was watching, it was before the fight even started. They were talking, like showing all like the highlights of the like what they've been doing in camp and things like that. And Tim Welch and Sean O'Malley are talking about how they're like, yeah, we've been having him wrestle a lot this camp. And the second I heard that, I was like, they're gonna lose. I'm like, that is just the dumbest approach to out wrestle Merab or to like try to do that. I'm like, look at Jean Silva and Bryce Mitchell. I'm like, he was so prepared for that wrestling, attacking front headlock chokes. I'm like, keeping him aware, keeping him threatened. I'm like, you're never going to catch up to Merab in that wrestling game at this point. It's like, it's too late. Like, he's too good at that. Let's beat him in other ways. Let's make him think more. And I feel like O'Malley didn't have enough options for that. What was getting to me, what was mind-blowing to me was watching every time O'Malley was throwing that right hand to the body, he was coming back out of position so bad every single time. Merab was capitalizing on it over and over and over again. He'd throw the right hand and then come back like chin up, terrible positioning, completely not in a good defensive position. And Merab was just coming at him. I feel like Merab was kind of capitalizing everywhere. He was beating him on the strikes a lot of times. He was beating him with the wrestling, just keeping him guessing constantly. I think that's what O'Malley needed to do more of, is keep Merab guessing, make it MMA. We're not like, I'm never going to try to work on my wrestling because I'm fighting a wrestler. It's like, no, that's their specialty. Let's see how we can get around that.
Was he saying like defensively, like takedown defense, or just in general?
Just in general, that they were like doing a lot of hard wrestling rounds so he could get cardio for wrestling, and like just that. I just think that in general is just, like I said, like if I'm fighting someone who's a Merab level wrestler, it's like I'm going to look on how to stop the takedown with being more prepared with knees or strikes up the middle, like getting uppercuts, things like that. And adding in more jiu-jitsu, like I said, like with John Silva versus Bryce Mitchell, getting that ninja choke that he was attempting guillotines and ninja chokes from the beginning that were deep and tight. And it's like, if you add that element into your game, Rob's not going to shoot as much now. He's going to be scared because there's an element of threat. There's an element of danger. It's like he has no reason. Literally in, let's say there's end of the second round, he was just flowing on wrestling. Like O'Malley thought he was defending all this shit, but Merab was just letting it go. Like at one point, like Merab lost position and he like smiled, then threw a spinning back fist. It was like he was literally just like fucking around because he was just flowing in his position and in his world, and there was no real threat.
Let's give Sean O'Malley some credit in that second round, because there were definitely some very deep shots that he defended really well. And then towards the end of the round, yes, Merab absolutely found his flow, but I like the takedown defense initially from Sean O'Malley, I thought looked really good. And the first round, he fought way better than he did the second. If you look at, like, I felt like, at least style-wise, I do think the second round was closer than the first, just because initially, because of the takedown at the end of the first round, and he ended up on his back. But if you watch how he moves his feet in the first round, like Merab had a really hard time finding him initially. And then in the second round, he wasn't backing up as much as he did the first time either. But I feel like the second round, he let Merab find him a little bit more, but he was still defending some really good shots. I feel like the thing I was so impressed with Merab from was Merab wouldn't strike unless O'Malley was out of position. And like early in the fight, you just watch like every time, if Sean's feet came together, Merab's like, oh, it's time for me to go. He's like, okay, he can't plant and counter me right now. I got to throw. And then he'd give him the space back. So I don't want to knock Sean O'Malley because I thought he had a good game plan and I thought he seemed well prepared. I just think Merab's too good. I just don't think anybody can beat Merab right now. I don't think Sandhagen can. Umar got close. It was a close fight. I think you'll agree, but no, go ahead. Sorry. I'm right.
Well, no, I think that it's because Merab is doing, he is doing the MMA. He's mixing it together. And that's why I I'm not taking away from Sean O'Malley's defense, but I also don't think Merab necessarily shoots every shot trying to finish.
Fair.
I think, like, you watch him fight Peter Yan, he shot like 100 times and just kept on winning by coming up with strikes. He finished like minimal amount of shots out of the, like, I know he didn't finish a lot of shots and he didn't hold Peter Yan down a lot, but he kept on shooting, coming up with strikes, shooting, coming up with strikes. And I feel like it's that flow of, now O'Malley can never be safe. Now he can never really get his feet set. Now he's always scared of the takedown. So I'm like, yes, O'Malley was defending a lot, but I also think that Merab just, like, I feel like he probably does a lot of like play sparring rounds in the gym and just flowing and just doesn't really try to fight for anything. And that's why I think like people assume his cardio is so good, but it's because he's not fighting for things.
He's efficient.
Yeah, he's efficient with everything. He's not like fighting to finish this double leg or fighting to finish this shot. If he doesn't have it, he lets it go and he's just moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Efficiency as well. I do think he's also a genetic freak, but but yeah, he fought so well. Like, and his striking, the improvements in his striking, he looked so much more comfortable. The timing of his striking, just, I feel like they both leveled up so much since the first time they fought. And I want to see him fight Umar again. Like, I don't think Corey can beat Merab, and I love Corey Sandhagen. He is one of my favorite bantamweight fighters. I think Umar's the only guy that gets close. And yeah, no, as he said, like, surely they'll have a new plan. I don't even know that the game plan was the issue the first time Umar fought him. I think he probably just wasn't expecting the pace. I think it's one of those things that you have to feel. Like, Merab's got to just feel different. Like you said, just the suffocation of like, I'm never safe. I think that's just different, and you have to feel that to understand it. It's a very difficult thing to prepare for. But the Umar, like, it was 3-2, and every round was close. Like, every round was close in that fight. So I like, that's the fight I think we need to see again.
And I feel like I was literally right before you got in here, I was watching the post-fight press conference. So I'm like, that's where my brain's at. But I'm like, I feel like Dana kind of wants it too. Just the way that like he was talking to the reporters, he was like, it'd be exciting to see him fight Umar again, see him run through all these guys twice, even more impressive. And the reporter's like, does that mean he's skipping Sandhagen? It's like, he took a second. He was like, no. But like, it seemed like he was throwing out the idea of Umar more than he was Sandhagen.
I think he knows what we think we know, like I don't think anybody can beat Merab except maybe Umar right now. And honestly, if Merab beats Umar and Sandhagen, obviously Umar again, but if he beats Sandhagen too, like, send him up to 145. I'm not a big double champ person, but I actually would. I'm curious I don't think he has the size to compete with Volkanovski, but I still want to see it. Like, well,
another question that was posed at the post-fight was Pantoja and Merab as a super fight, because it's like there's not a lot of people in 25 division either. So
yeah, no, I'm for it. I would love to see that happen, especially if Pantoja beats Kai Kara-France again.
And it's like
he wants.
If Merab has any holes, I think it is in his jiu-jitsu game, where I'm like, he's a great wrestler, no doubt, but I feel like Pantoja is someone who might be able to find those holes, just being a very high-level black belt.
And the thing that Pantoja does so well is he doesn't give people space. Like, he only gives you space when he wants to give you space so that you flow to where he wants you. Like, he's so, like, stuck to you. I don't know. The size, obviously, like, Merab's going to be the bigger guy. I think that makes it difficult. For sure, makes it an incredibly tough fight. But Merab said he wouldn't fight Volk. I'm just crushing my dreams today. But no, I'd be down to see that. And I'm not a big double champ person unless there is no contender left in your division. Like, all right, we gotta move on to the star of the show, in my opinion, and that's Kayla Harrison, because. Wow. First of all, like, did what Amanda Nunes couldn't. Finished Juliana Pena inside of 2 rounds, But more importantly, like, this is the first time, I think this is the most exciting thing to happen in women's MMA in a while. Like, this is huge for her to beat Juliana like this. Amanda's in the building, comes into the cage. They, are like dab up because they're friends and former teammates, but they have that moment in the cage. I think people are really, really excited about this division again for the first time in a really long time.
So hear me out. We do Amanda, Kayla, main event, Whaley, and Valentina, co-main.
That would be insane. That would be an insane card.
I just feel like we need like an all-female night like that. That's like, and like that's, I feel like Kayla and Amanda is finally like a name that we haven't, like two names we haven't had in a while to bring that kind of star power to like have a pay-per-view with a female lead, a lot. We haven't had a lot of star power in the female divisions in a while. So I feel like those two are names who can carry that kind of weight.
They can headline a card 100%. I got to be honest. I'm excited. I don't think it's going to be an exciting fight between Valentina and Whaley. I think it's going to be a lot of Valentina in guard. I think that's going to be a lot of what we see on top, obviously. But the Amanda Kayla fight is such a huge like question mark to the fans. I think it's like that's such a big moment for women's MMA, and it's cool to see. And I feel like I'm like Kayla Harrison is the champion that we need, guys. She deserves it so much. Like, I know you guys know that I'm biased, but I just like being in the gym with this woman. Like, she is the most amazing person. I literally could not be like, I couldn't be happier for her because she so freaking deserves this, guys. It's so cool. It's so cool. It's dope. Anyway, but like, let's talk about the fight. I feel like from the very beginning, Juliana looked terrified of Kayla, as she should. She's massive, strong, super good, but she did not look like she was comfortable in the exchanges with Kayla.
Well, I think that Juliana's main style of striking relies on running forward a lot, and that was taken away from her because she didn't want to be clenched, didn't want to be stuck into any kind of like wrestling judo positions with Kayla. So I feel like in the first round especially, she opened up a little bit more in the second, but in the first round, she looked like she was so scared of the takedown that she let Kayla just like walk her to the cage and shoot. She was like so nervous to throw or strike or do anything that she just kind of kept on backing up and gave Kayla an easy way to push her up against the cage and start working where she's best at. So in the second round, I think Juliana opened up a little bit more. Obviously, Kayla was still able to do the same thing, work her game, and then that Kimura was like, ew.
Oh my God, I know. I'm like, do we have an update on that? Like, is she good? Is her arm okay?
I can guarantee you she is feeling it this morning.
No, I
know that.
A lot of girls have like weirdly flexible shoulders, so I'm hopeful that that's what we saw and she didn't tear her rotator cuff, but
not that flexible.
Nasty. It looked nasty. This is definitely something we talk about. Yes, this was 100% the wrong call by the referee. If you have a dominant position and you fall victim to an illegal blow to the point that they have to take a point, you absolutely get the position back.
Well, I guess that's the ref's reasoning they were saying is because they took a point. That's why they reset the position. If a point wasn't taken and they just reset, then she would have reset on top. But because the point was taken, then that's why they reset to standing.
That's silly. That's bad.
My point further is I think it was either later on that round or in the second round. She tried it again. She tried to do the up kicks again later in the fight. I think it was in the second round where I'm like, Juliana, you've been in this sport for how many years? You have been the champion and you don't know this is an illegal move?
Yeah. And I think her level showed a bit tonight. Like, and just how much more dominant and how more composed Kayla was. It was a very big disparity. But like, let's go back to this for just a minute because I hate this. If I'm a striker and you're a wrestler and you're trying to take me down, and I know that the worst thing that could possibly happen to me if I grab the fence to stop a takedown is that I'll get a point taken away, I'm going to keep grabbing the freaking fence. If I lose position because I did something illegal, I would absolutely be less likely to do the illegal thing. Like, it's so stupid. You should never, ever end up, even if you get a point taken, that's not enough, because then I could knock you out and the point's pointless. You know, like, you should never, ever, ever be rewarded by position for doing something illegal. That is a bad MMA rule. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Hi, Mr. C. I don't know if you're remotely as passionate about this as I am, but I think that's the wrong call every time.
No, I guess I'm debating in how I feel about it. I agree with your point too, but I'm like, to get a point taken is a big deal. You know, it does make 1 point makes a huge deal in a 3-round fight if it does go to decision, though. That's why your point of like, what if you get knocked out right after? Definitely makes a difference. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit torn on that.
I think if there were stricter punishments for illegal blows, they would happen a lot less.
You see Derek Lewis's recent interview talking about how he's like, I knee people in the nuts all the time just to get some, he's like, I went out there once, I was feeling nervous at the beginning of the fight. So first thing I did was knee him in the nuts. So I gave myself a couple minutes. He's like, anytime you see me eye poke someone or knee somebody in the nuts, just know I'm giggling to myself on the inside.
He's not the only one. He's just saying the quiet part out loud. Like, so many fighters do this because it's Yoel Romero is like king of the fence grab to stay up, but I still have my position. Like, so many guys do this, and girls. Like, it's so stupid. If you lost, like in football, even if what you do is an accident, you still lose yardage. Even if it's the smallest little thing, you still lose yards. Like, it is a severe penalty. It is a severe enough penalty that people don't do it all the time. Like, if there's a chance, you might just get a warning. There'd be a lot more false starts, I'm sure. Like, and that's why I think it's just silly. If we just made the rules a lot stricter, like, I guarantee you illegal blows would be almost non-existent.
No, I feel like, I don't know. My next fight will be my 20th. I've had 20 UFC fights. I've never poked somebody in the eye yet. So,
but you have been poked in the eye.
I have been eye gouged. That wasn't necessarily poked. That was a thumb straight into it.
She's still with them? She been cut yet?
No, well, she just got a knockout 2 months ago.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, because we literally had the conversation right before I'm like, why isn't she cut yet? She has a losing record in the UFC.
I gouged like 3 people.
Yeah, and then she missed weight all the time. But then she got a really nice knockout. So we were like, oh, that's why.
That's why. There it is. Anywho, we've broken everything down. I wanted to get into, there's some other things that happened. Mark Kerr got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I thought that was really cool. Dude's an absolute pioneer of combat sports. Super pumped for Dwayne Johnson to play him in that movie. I think that's going to be dope. But that was really cool to see. There's been some other things that kind of popped up. We talked about the UFC BJJ. We didn't really get into it, but apparently Nick Diaz has been kidnapped to Mexico. That, I hope, isn't true. That sounds terrifying. If anybody has any more things, Ben Askren is hospitalized with a staph infection. I haven't seen anything since the initial post, just that he was in critical condition.
It actually wasn't a staph infection.
Wasn't a staph infection.
No, I believe I sent it to you earlier. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on Instagram.
I didn't see the latest updates.
His wife posted something on Instagram saying that he has pneumonia and he's currently hospitalized with pneumonia.
Somebody lied to me about staph. But yeah, that's horrible. Well, hopefully, send your prayers out to Ben Askren. That's horrible to hear. So hopefully he's all right. That sucks. Man. But yeah, We touched on that. Sorry to end the show on such a sad note. But yeah, there's some interesting things happening that I'm sure we'll talk more about on Tuesday because, oh, that's good. Chael Sonnen says he was responding, so it looks like there's been some recovery. That's good. So hopefully the best Ben Askren and his family. Thoughts on less pay-per-views? Okay, we'll answer one question. Less pay-per-views? I'm okay with that. Like, if they want to do a few, like not a pay-per-view every other month and make them bigger, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be cool with that. Like you said, like make them bigger, make them worth our money. I think it was last one, maybe not this one, maybe the one before. I'm like that. It was like it was a good card, but as I'm sitting and pressing the pay button, I'm like, is this worth the $80?
Right. No, I don't disagree with you. And honestly, comparing the last 3 fights were, or I guess it was not the last 3 fights, but Kevin Holland's fight and then the co-main and main event were all spectacular. But man, the prelims were free on ESPN Plus were killer, absolutely killer, you know? And yes, this is absolutely KO of the year right now for me.
Yeah, it has to be. I'm like, there's nothing cleaner.
I feel like he's going to have some Conor McGregor moments. Like that guy is going to have some superstar quality as he progresses in the sport.
Lastly, too, last week, the Tough House started, or they started airing it. So it's Team Chael. Yeah, they've had 2 episodes out now. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Chael versus DC. So like definitely interesting to watch. One of my main teammates, Roy Echeverria, is on there, so I'm super excited to watch him. But yeah, excited for Tough to be back.
Dude, it's a really good season. Literally the worst, and I'm saying worst in quotations because this guy's not bad at all. The worst record in the house is 5-0. And normally that's the best record in the Tough House. And everybody has like 3 fights. I think he's like the only fighter that has less than 10 professional fights. Like these guys are so good this season.
Since the beginning of the Contender series, it's just been like there hasn't been a lot of quality in Tough.
I agree.
But this season, I feel like they're finally bringing it back.
I don't want different coaches next year. I genuinely want them to rename it. It's not the Ultimate Fighter anymore. It's bad guy versus good guy. And every year, DC and Chael Sonnen should coach these guys because they're both amazing coaches. Like, they're freaking killing it.
Yeah, I think you just need to be in charge of the UFC's like promotional and get the year-long Contender series, get a good guy versus bad guy. No, you're onto something here.
My girl. That's what you heard it here first. I'll be taking calls today. UFC, Dana, if you want to reach out, I have several ideas. Anyway, we gotta get out of here. We gotta go. I gotta put real clothes on so I can go to church because I'm still wearing pajama pants. I hope you have a fabulous day hanging out in your bathrobe and doing absolutely nothing because that sounds great. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry we got off to a slow start this morning. We're a little sleep deprived, but we love you guys. We will be live on Tuesday, but more importantly, Gillian will be live and I will be live at my house on Friday for the biggest Zyn giveaway ever. We will be live on the YouTube. We will be live on the Kick. Maybe we'll be live on something else. I don't know. Go follow us on Kick. We just made it. I don't know how it works. Dave set it up. Please do. Tell all your friends about it. It's going to be really fun. We're going to have a lot of really awesome fighters coming through trying to win some Zyns. So, yeah. All right. Love you guys. I'm pushing the button now.